bear position. All right, everyone, we can start releasing slowly. I'm going to make sure all the bottles look good and fair. Let go. That's good. All right, I'm going to count down to 10. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This challenge has begun. You can start the music. give everyone immunity and couldn't have come at much better time. You will not be voted out. You will be in the final four. Unfortunately for the four of you, one of you will be joining the jury. You can grab your stuff and head on back to camp.
I am so happy to have this around my neck right now. I feel like this is exactly what I wanted to happen. I think that folks in the jury probably think that I am like an idiot for letting Adam and Megan get this far, but what happened to me last year is that I took out all of my shields entirely, like incredibly too early, so then I was on the chopping block.
I'm just gonna wait here for Jordan.
I think that we just need I don't know. I need to think about it. I need to like think about it for a minute to see about what like he could possibly like who is he gonna write down is what I'm saying.
It's me.
I don't know.
Who else will we write down?
It's me.
You did?
Fucking blow out.
We have a plan.
What is it? Are you sure? Rose doesn't seem too sure.
Why?
Because this was between me and him, or me and Meg.
Of course. God,
Well,
you
yeah,
been
I
fucking digging
know.
in the bushes and shit?
I walked onto the blue camp.
Jesus.
I wanted to see if I could do it. But you guys keep making this vote and vote me out. She's better at this than everybody else. You know,
Where's the next place?
keep me,
Yeah.
and I'll promise both you guys finally.
Yeah. Where's the next place?
I'm actually in a really comfortable spot. Both my alliances ended up being right here, and I've been in the middle of both of them the whole time. So you got Adam, I've been day one with, and then Jordan after the merge, day one with at the merge. It's been literally using that as, you know, they've been taking the hits, not me, more Adam than Jordan. But
I think you're gonna vote me for the name. I don't like change.
we're about to get Adam out. If he has an idol, then I feel like shit might go haywire a little bit, but I don't think he has an idol. Shit, he's done crazy things already, so.
Right now, I'm just taking a moment to. They will be idiots if they don't vote Adam out. Therefore, yeah, they'll just be idiots. He has to be going out this time. Right now, I'm just sitting here thinking through my final tribal council speech, the moves I made, and potentially things I need to do, because I think I'm making it to the end, so I need to fight for my spot there. So I've just been sitting here thinking through that. People are coming, so I'm just gonna. He's idle hunting down there. I don't think it's hidden down there.
Yeah, he approached me about working together, try to find an idea. And so I guess I'm gonna pretend to do that for a while.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Right.
And if you find one, awesome.
Right, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my current game plan. Has he totally searched all over him?
Adam has, yeah.
Okay, but he's still back there.
He might have gone to another camp.
Yeah, because he told me he was going to go to the other camp too.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great.
We're gonna go Adam. With this vote, I think hopefully that will be a unanimous vote. Hopefully he doesn't have an idol. But part of my strategy was to feel safe and trustworthy to people, and I think that's working because we're at Final 5 and I have not one person has written my name down on the paper yet to be voted out. So I'm hoping I can make it all the way to the end with not one vote for me.
All right, here we are at the Final 5 Tribal Council. Jordan, this was your first individual immunity win in Surviving Bloomington history out of both of your games. How big was this win for you?
I think it was huge. I think it came at a very critical time for me. I feel very grateful to be wearing it.
Sparky, you were right there with Jordan. You were rock solid the entire time. I was quite frankly surprised whenever you dropped. What was going through your head? Did you feel like you needed this, or was it just a battle between you and Jordan for, just to see who has it, but you didn't necessarily feel like you needed it?
I felt like I needed it. I thought this was an important one to win. And I was surprised when I dropped to you because I did feel solid for the whole challenge. Like I felt really good about it. Just like a split second I lost it.
So Rosie, now you're coming down to like the real nitty gritty. I mean, there's just 2 more votes. You only have 2 more chances to get people out. How comfortable are you feeling, and do you feel like you have a group that you're trying to go to the finals with, or do you feel like you're on the outs?
I definitely think that you get pulled in both directions. And I think we're all the same kind of anxious. So this next challenge, even for whoever makes it to this, I mean, it's massive.
So Hannah, what's life at camp like at Final 5 compared to say like yesterday during the merge at Final 12?
Oh, it's so different. You only have to talk with a couple people, and you might have in your mind already what you're wanting to do. And so we were actually sitting around the fire. There's no fire, but we were sitting around and just reflecting on our last game compared to this game and our experiences. Everybody already knows their last game, so I had a moment to like share like how much I've grown since I last played, because nobody knows me from the last game I played 4 years ago. So I got to, it was like a really heartfelt moment, and that was not happening at 12.
Jordan, were you a part of that heartfelt moment? How was that from your perspective?
It was nice. It was nice to not feel as paranoid, like you had to be like seeing who was digging around in the bushes. If you heard it, we knew it was, of course, Adam looking for an idol. But yeah, it was nice to not have to feel like as paranoid and tense.
So, Adam, Jordan mentions that if they heard someone rustling around, potentially looking for someone, it was probably you. This is the first time, at least as of right now, that you don't have some sort of immunity. What type of pressure have you been feeling this round ever since that immunity challenge?
It's easy to say I wasn't under the gun the last two because I was safe. You just gotta look at the connection you made. Relationships you build out here will pay off. There's no sense in not reading the writing on the wall. So it's obvious between me and Megan. I feel like the other three, they feel threatened by sitting next to each other. It's just who do they feel more confident in beating in the next match? I don't want to take a chance, full-on chance on that, so I went for a hike. I want my bag of tricks.
So, Megan, Adam mentions a bag of tricks. As a lot of us probably know, Tony from CBS Survivor had his own bag of tricks that he liked to use. What type of paranoia or stress does it cause knowing a guy like Adam is saying he has a bag of tricks in his tribal council at Final Five?
I mean, of course it's unsettling, and it's particularly unsettling for me, right? Because if his bag of tricks is put to good use, then it's me, right? And the vote is certainly me. Because whoever Adam, then it would be whoever Adam picks, and whoever Adam picks is me. And I'm aware of that, so I know the risks going into tonight.
All right, well, let's see where this risk takes us, and we can go ahead and vote.
Please, God, let this happen. Please.
It's been a good run, buddy. Do something magical again.
All right. The votes have been cast.
Yeah.
Once the votes are read, the decision is final. The person voted out will be asked to leave the tribal council area immediately. If you have a hidden immunity idol and you'd like to play it, this is the last chance in the game that you have to do so.
I want to confirm for everybody if this is.
Let's ask it what it says. Outlook not so good.
I don't know what's supposed to I am so happy that
Unfortunately, this is just a magic 8-ball. It is nothing else.
Why?
All right. I'll read the votes. First vote, Adam. Adam. Megan. Fourteenth person voted out as surviving Bloomington All-Stars and the 8th member of our jury, Adam. That's enough. You can bring me your torch. All right. Well, you four have voted out one of the most dominating players in surviving Bloomington history. One more left, and then 3 of you will be in the finals. We'll see who it's going to be. You can grab your torches and head on out. Good game.
Real fast. That's sweet too.
Yeah.
Almost done.
I know. Whatever it is, I'm almost done.
Okay. So you can look at you. Oops, don't hit the flash on.
Thank you.
Alright, you want immunity.
I did win immunity. I won the final immunity. I made it into the final 3. Yeah. I'm excited. And I meant what I said. Obviously, I'm gonna take you. I'm gonna take you. I think you played really hard. You played really well. Like, I want you to go.
Yeah.
I was on the edge so many times.
Yeah.
And you saved my ass so many times. That to me, it's like I want to take you.
If I'm there with you, I have a totally different game. You have a totally different game. Maybe that's cool. So you have to figure out what risk you're willing to take with that.
Right. I think I need to. But I'm definitely thinking with you.
Yeah.
I just need to like.
If you go that way, that you're willing to take Jordan out, and you want to avoid her having that resume building moment of beating you in a challenge,
Yeah.
then you have to strong arm Megan and say,
She's not looking good.
but you have to strong arm her
But
and say, I'm willing to put him into a challenge.
figure it out.
Don't write it out, you know?
I know.
I just hope that we have a good enough relationship that, like, if you didn't want me to go with you, that you would just tell me so I don't, like...
Oh, yeah, I'm not...
Like, if you didn't, like, I'm not gonna scramble and, like...
No.
Like, do anything wild. Like,
Sure, I'm taking you.
just let me know. I'm not feeling, like, desperate or wild. Like, I'll go out with Grace.
I want to take you and Rosie. That's who I want to take. That's who I want to go with. I like
Okay.
Hannah. She's great. But in terms of who's, like, worked with me the most in this game, it's the two of you. And I want to take you, and I want to go with you, and I want to play with you, and I want to duke it out. It's all stars, baby.
How did it feel that moment when you knew you'd won?
It felt incredible. I felt so excited. Just the best of the puzzle, right? Like, Final 3 is good. I'm excited about that too. But mostly I was just like, yes, like I have conquered this demon that has haunted me for a whole year in this one wooden puzzle. So that felt really good.
All right, dude. God, you're so close. Do you want to ask me, give me a prompt maybe?
Sure. Tell me what's going on.
Oh, okay. So what's going on? Hannah's the outlier of the three. We kind of, Jordan, Sparky, and I wanted this pretty early, not in the game, but like once things started, the dust to settle. Hannah's pretty emotional about it. I feel bad, but that's how the vote's gonna go down. That's your 3. Nah, there's no worries going into this. Maybe, I don't know, there's been like 5 votes where I'm just like chilling, and it's been awesome. So
what's your confidence level right now that it's going to go this way?
for this vote, about 100%. There's no doubt.
Awesome.
Yeah, I put everything on it.
Last time I played a Survivor game, I got 4th. And signs are pointing that I'm getting 4th again. I made my pitch to Rosie first. I said, you cannot sit by Jordan. Jordan's argument is that she carried you all the way here. And it's true. Nothing. I sit down with Megan and I'm like, can I give you my pitch? And she's like, yeah. Like, yes. I tried to lay out the jury votes for her. She wouldn't hear it. I tried to tell her that, like, she could easily beat me. Wouldn't hear it. So I know that going into this vote, I'm 99% being voted out. But there's that 1% that I'm going to fight for it at Final Tribal.
Last time I played a Survivor game, I got 4th. I didn't fight for it at all. I knew it was me and I didn't fight for it because I was the one to be voted out. But this time I am fighting for it. Adam's out of the game and his luck needs to transfer to someone. And so Adam's luck is all right here. That 1%, if Adam can do that one shot in the dark, I can do blowing up Tribal and hopefully making some magic happen. The Adam magic.
Consistently, every time I'm asked this question about the vote, I say like 75% confident. But because of my relationship with Megan, I'm 99% confident.
All right. So, first off, I want to just offer a big congratulations to the 4 of you. Making the Final Four in what was essentially a 20-person game of All-Stars is not easy. The path you all have gotten to get here has been, without doubt, the most difficult path that I've seen in any live game that I've ever been a part of. So each of you has a lot to be proud of right now, okay? And I just want you all, to a certain extent, if you can, soak that up, because you absolutely deserve it, each and every one of you. Seriously, I'm not just saying that. So, first off, Megan, I do want to go to you and ask, how did it feel when you won that challenge and you got your redemption from last year?
That was like the best feeling in the world. I was like, I don't even care what happens next. Like I beat the puzzle. I've been thinking about that puzzle for a year. Like, when we were done last year, I would have nightmares about that puzzle. You know, it haunted me, the puzzle. And so it was nice to finally complete it and win on this challenge.
So Hannah, you were on the other side of that, not winning the challenge. What are some of the thoughts and strategies that you tried talking about back at camp, or what are some of the thoughts that are going through your head as a result of that challenge and what's happening in this round?
Yeah, after losing that challenge, I was like, all right, perfect. Because when I played Survival Challenge 4 years ago, I got 4th place. And my big mistake was that I was the biggest threat at Final Four, so hence I got 4th place. I'm like, perfect. Jordan's the biggest threat right now. Jordan's getting voted out. And you're like, oh, oops. I shouldn't have banked on the bigger threat ahead of me actually getting voted out. So I believe it's me today. I think there's a 1% chance that, that they'll realize that they'll lose to Jordan at the end. But, I did hear out reasons why they might not lose to Jordan at the end, as what my perception is. So it's understandable right now, is what I'm trying to say.
So Megan, as the person with the necklace, clearly you have a lot of pull here in the decision making. Do you have any sort of response that you're interested in voicing?
I will say very unabashedly that coming into this game, my goal was to get to the final 3, and to get to the final 3 with Jordan, and to work with Jordan to get to the final 3. And that is something I wanted from day one. And I did that, and I accomplished that. And that was a goal that I set out to do. Not only did I get myself here, but I also got my ally here. And so to me, that is an accomplishment. That's one thing I'll say about that. Another thing I'll say is that loyalty is big to me. It's important to me. It matters to me. And Jordan is the only person in this entire game that I made a final 3 deal with in the entire game. And that weighs heavy on my decision, right? That's important to me. And I know there were some questions that came up about, well, why would you be loyal to somebody if maybe they wouldn't be loyal to you, with that kind of thing. And again, I can't do anything about somebody else's loyalty. That's not what dictates my loyalty. Other people decide what to do, whether they're loyal or not, and they have to live with that, and they have to defend that. But for me, it's about my character and my loyalty and what I say I'm going to do. And it's important to me to do what I say I'm going to do. And the last thing I'll say is that I wouldn't bring anybody to the end that I don't think I can beat. Like, I want to sit up here and fucking be a winner. I want to be an all-star. I want to win this game, and I want to be able to sit next to anybody in this final. I would want to sit next to anybody in this entire game and beat them, right? Because that's what makes me a winner. It's what makes me an all-star. And that's what I'm here to do.
So Hannah, what type of frustrations are coming from like inside of you, knowing that you and Stacy and Connor came into this game with a uniquely uphill battle of like, you didn't know anyone, and you specifically making it so deep into the game? What type of frustrations are you feeling around like feeling like you know someone, the move that you would make if you were in the decision, and not having that available to you just because of, you know, previous games?
So I came in knowing what I signed up for, and then this round it just all culminated and all hit me about the struggles I've had to go through and what I've had to, the uphill battle I've had. And I'm so proud of myself of what I've did and what I've done.
Is there a certain level of it that feels almost not fair, having to come into a group like this?
Why? So I had, you know, in my confessional earlier, you know, just like I said, it all hit me after that challenge. I don't sound good when I cry, so this game was not designed for a newbie. This game was literally designed for all-stars. So I signed up for it. I knew what I was getting into, but it really hit me at Final Four what I really signed up for. When people who have touched that puzzle, people who have technically won that puzzle, get to do that puzzle again. It like hit me after that. When I picked my torch out, there's the name Tiara on it. Everybody knows who Tiara is. I don't know who Tiara is, but Tiara to me is my 3rd grade student that I had this last year who was diagnosed with a learning disability. And she has to overcome so many challenges. And I picked that torch when I saw that name and I said, I'm going to overcome the challenges of this game and I'm going to do it. And I did it. I thought I set myself up well and I almost did it. So that's my piece.
So Jordan, obviously you're a topic of conversation here. What are some of the thoughts that are going through your head listening to both Hannah and Sparky? Because we're living in a world right now where both people, both perspectives are true and both perspectives are valid. So how do we grapple with this fact and knowing that you are part of that conversation?
Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly difficult, and honestly, like, this is true now and it's true every time I watch Survivor. I would be very uncomfortable in Megan's position, right? Like, this is like the person that has a really big decision to make, and that's really difficult. And I completely agree with everything that Hannah said. I know last year when I found out that like a couple people playing were roommates, and I found out a couple people playing have played like 3 times together, I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I was pissed that I didn't know that information ahead of time. So I think everything you're saying is valid. I do not want to invalidate that. On the flip side, if you look at it from my perspective, I played with over half of these people last year, and the other people watched, and I played a really like chaotic
shitty non-strategic game where I like really just like went for people's heads without thinking twice about it. So I had to go into this game knowing that pretty much 14 people watched how I played last year, and I had to somehow convince them that I could like right all of those wrongs and not be chaotic and not be paranoid and not lie to people. From me saying that, I'm not trying to invalidate. I'm just trying to say that there are a lot of different perspectives and realities, and I think that all of them are really valid.
And that's part of what this experience is that all of us do have different realities. You know, perception is reality, and we're all living and experiencing our own thing, and trying to figure out what other people are experiencing is part of this, and it's part of what helps us grow closer as a group, and it's why all of us are here after 5 years. Some of us are newer than others. Some of us have been here for a long time, and it's not easy. On one hand, sometimes it's good to come in completely new. On the other hand, it's bad to come in completely new. On one hand, it's good to come in with a bunch of baggage. On one hand, it's bad to come in with a bunch of baggage. And there's not a correct answer here. Like, there is not a correct answer here. It, quite frankly, only depends on who's wearing that necklace. This conversation we would be having the same exact conversation almost no matter who was wearing that necklace. It would just be in a different light.
Because this is my thought on this. Okay, so I didn't play with you for most of the game. I didn't see you at all for the first half of the game. And then when we were together, right, after the merge, we never played directly together. The only information I ever got from you was you would come and tell me it's like occasionally that somebody else was trying to get me out, and you would tell me you felt bad for me, and you would be like, I'm sorry, there's nothing I could do. You know what I mean? And I would be like, that's cool. And so I never knew if what you were telling me, we just never had a trust bond. I never knew if what you were telling me was correct. And so as a result of that, I don't actually know what your relationship is to anybody on this jury. I have no idea. Like, because you would tell me, I just don't know. But what I want to say is that, like, that's not a slight. Like, that's a compliment. Your social game is so excellent and so under the radar that, like, I'm sitting here, I have no idea. I have no idea what you said to any of these people, what those relationships were like, or what the strength of those is like. And that's an unknown to me, and that's harder for me to face, I think, in a final tribal council than their two games, which I feel like I have a pretty good sense of, right? And
So Rosie, obviously a lot of
How's it going? just hanging out. Don't worry about me.
So obviously there's a lot of energy, like, on this side of things.
Over here?
So I'm just curious where your headspace is, like, hearing these things. Were you aware that these conversations were happening?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard not to know this is going on, you know? I mean, they saw me last year not knowing a shit clue what I was doing. I think this year I proved that, you know, I had strategy, I had game, and I can't wait to tell you all more about it. So, I would love to go to that.
Yeah.
Me too.
Well, this was a very real and I think also a very important tribal council, and a conversation that I thank all of you for being willing to have. I know it is not easy to be vulnerable in real life. It's not easy to be vulnerable here. It's sure as shit not easy to be vulnerable in front of a group of people who are watching you. So again, all of you have so much to be proud of in this game. I hope each of you are proud of yourselves. And on top of that, I hope that letting yourself be vulnerable in this way can ultimately bring something good within yourselves, because quite frankly, I think it's incredible. And now, unfortunately, we do have to get to a vote. So we'll start with Hannah and zigzag through.
I'm sorry. I'm nervous. Yeah, but honestly, I was thinking real hard about this. And the thing is, like, even though there are strong players in this final three, like, and we know who the strong players are. Shout out Megan and Jordan. Y'all played excellent. Even though, like, they played a hard game, like, they have to, you know? And everyone's gonna say Rosie played safe, but what's more comfortable than safe, you know?
I'm absolutely stoked. It is the 3 that I wanted, so I'm ecstatic. I know the jury, other people think, oh, why would you have them with you? But I couldn't be happier with the top 3.
An all-stars game. You're expecting everyone to be heated, having heated conversations, heated interactions, just all around chaos. But somehow, Rosie remained cool the whole time. And I think everyone's undermining like how like strategic and how like precise you had to make your moves to be able to have a cool head and lay under the radar in an all-stars game where everyone's gunning for everyone.
I played the game the way I wanted to, and literally things kept falling into my lap at the exact right time, and I took full advantage. So they might think right now, oh, Jordan's gonna win, or once I get my spiel out there, I think I'll ruffle a few feathers a little bit, but also gain some good votes.
I do not know who I'm voting for. My vote is pretty open. I do have some people I'm leaning towards, but the biggest thing for me to find out during this final tribal council is if any of these players were in control of votes and if they can explain it to me. I have my preconceived notions about it, but I want these people to own up to what the game was that they played. And if they're not willing to do that, then they will lose any sort of leeway that I have towards them.
I made a lot of sneaky moves that people don't know about. I made alliances with almost everybody that I could and just bounce back and forth, keep going, knowing everything. I played a little bit of Boogie's game last year, so give Boogie some congrats. I learned some stuff from him. He played mysterious, and I kind of took note from that, and maybe I'm the Boogie. So it was paradise for me half the game because I had my hand in each honey jar. Dallas is another one. I'm working with him. Griffin never saw that Jordan and I's keys coming together. You know, there's just so many little things that I'm just like, hey, you know, for each camp,
it feels amazing to be in the final 3. If you would have told me a month ago that it was going to be me, Megan, and Rosie, I would have told you you're freaking crazy. There's no way in hell. I'm really excited, and I'm being so genuine when I say I think all 3 of us have really great stories to tell. I really do think that we are respecting the traditions and the game of Survivor and of Surviving Bloomington for the All-Star game. I think every member of the jury would be disappointed if there was like 1 strong person and 2 goats at the end. And I think that this is going to be a show. It's going to be tough. And I think jury votes are going to be split. I don't think it's going to be consistent on any one person. So I'm excited.
You know, like as a jury member, I believe, you know, I'm a Survivor super duper fan, and I just have so many like game theories about juries, and I think jury members like to vote for the player who plays the most like them. And so for me, I'm a gamer, I'm a social game person, I'm using those relationships, using those bonds, using those connections, and manipulating and making the best moves for you. I can't wait to hear their arguments and see which game of theirs most aligns with like a player that I like to vote for to win.
My plan is to really talk about my social game and how different deliberately I had to play this year. I went into last year not really knowing much about Survivor, not knowing much about strategy. So over the past year, I've been thinking about this and what I'm going to do differently, and how am I going to get people to work with me after they watched that mess that I did last year. And I think that I did a good job of strategy and saving myself by using numbers. So yeah, I think Rosie and I have a very similar story. There are honestly only a couple of things that differentiate us, so we'll see what happens.
Not 100% on my vote, but I'm like 93.5% sure, and I feel like in a similar way that Megan and Jordan had a connection, like I never was like, we were like consistent, and I never felt like she lied to me. Megan did not lie to me, but there was also like, she played a good game, right? But I think I have that commitment with Jordan that I feel like I also kind of had her as my number one. So I'm saying what I would vote for Jordan. Can we delete this?
So sorry.
Not know who I'm voting for yet. I'm pretty sure I'm voting for Jordan. I don't want to go first as the jury question because I want to see what they say. So yeah, we'll see.
My thought process going into the final tribal is basically that, I came into this game knowing that in my previous games I was not super confident to make the moves that I needed to make to get to the end. This time I was able to be that confident and have that audacity, and I want to know that the player that I write down has that audacity too, knows that they have it and owns it. And I think that the person that I want to vote for as of right now has it, and I want her to speak it.
I'm thrilled because even if I don't win, like I made it. I feel so good. I made it here. And this was something I wasn't willing to do last year. I wasn't willing to let myself win. And if that comes up tonight, I hope I get a chance to really express that, because that's a major accomplishment for me, is just allowing myself to succeed.
I'm still always open to listen to what everybody says, but gotta be honest, I'm just very jaded by what I heard with this last tribal. So it's gonna be really difficult to convince me that you can actually play the game without your best friend in the game. I mean, I'll still be open, but it's gonna be a really tough row to hoe for both Jordan and Megan to convince me to vote for them at this point.
I think I clutched immunities when I needed them. I got the balls challenge when I needed it. I got the scavenger hunt idol when I needed it, and worked with my allies, right? My ally shared his challenge advantage with me, which allowed me to find that when I needed it. And then I won the final immunity puzzle today when I really needed it. I was on the chopping block the whole time. When we did the challenge about knowing your tribe, I got playing the best game. That was me. And some people called it the kiss of death afterwards. And I became a major target, a major threat. And Adam, called me out at tribal council, say I was a major threat. So really my pitch is just that I've played a well-rounded game to get through all of the challenges that came my way. I played a social game. I played a challenge strength game, which I didn't think that I could play. I did an advantages game. I think that I have a pretty solid game, and I'm gonna do my best to get up there and defend it. And we'll just see what happens.
I do not know who I am voting for, but I do know that my vote is definitely between Megan and Jordan, as I believe they have played the best games. So I'm really at a toss-up right now. I want one of them to just earn it, fight for it, show me, prove to me why they deserve to win, and that person will get my vote. But as of now, my vote is open between those two women. I just really want both of these women, just like I said, to own up to their games, own up to the moves they made, own up to how much deception and control they actually had over individuals. Like, I am a villain myself. I want to know the dirty moves you did. I think it's hard for both of them to own those dirty moves, and I think they both want to just try to be angels and is positive about their experience, but I want to know the dirty details. I want to know why they deserve to win Surviving Bloomington All-Stars. So what's going through my head is it's a clash of the titans right now between Megan and Jordan, and I need them to duke it out and prove to me why they deserve to win.
And so, yeah, that feels great.
Any last thoughts?
I hope that I win, but if I don't win, I hope Jordan takes it all.
It was fun. It was a good time. So I'm just stoked with how all this is turning out, and I love you, Mom.
Jury, we have Devontae, Megan, Stacy, Boogie, Mia, Dallas, Griffin, Adam, last but certainly not least, Anna. All right. First off, I want to give an absolutely huge congratulations to the three of you. What you accomplished here was not easy by any stretch of the imagination. If this were CBS Survivor, you've lasted 39 days. You have gone as far as you possibly can in this game. Now, you must plead your case to these jury members and try to get their vote, and they will decide which of the three of you wins this game. So first, we're going to start with opening statements from each of you. Try to keep them succinct. You want to be powerful in this moment. So soak it up. Defend your game. Own your game. Do not be passive. If you are passive, you will lose. They want to see people own it. So this is your opportunity. You are in the bottleneck right now. It is time to grab it. And I know the three of you can do it. And I'm so excited to see what you have to say. We will start with Megan.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, so like I said at the last tribal council last year, was a very, what?
I need you to speak
louder. Okay, I'll be much louder. All right, last year, can I stand up? Can I stand up? All right, great, thanks, great. That's better. I can't do that.
Come closer.
Yeah, it's fine. Here, I'll just yell at y'all. I don't do shit. Okay.
Oh, we're getting intimate. Let's go.
Yeah, let's get intimate. Let's get real about this. Oh, this feels good. Now I feel good.
Oh yeah, you can. I don't think you guys know how open my boats are.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. So last year I came in, I played a really passive game. I felt like I learned from that, and I went home, and the thing that it taught me last year was that I didn't think I was enough. I didn't think I was enough. I didn't think I was good enough to be here. I didn't think I was good enough to come in the final three, and I didn't think I was good enough to win. And this year, I think I'm good enough. And I hope that after the tribal council, that you guys will also believe that I'm good enough, and you will see the game I played. I believe that out of all of us up here, I believe I played the best all-around game. I played a social game. I played an advantages game. I found 2 idols in this game without clues. I found the mutiny advantage. I mutinied at a key point in the game. I won 3 individual immunities when I needed them. I won the scavenger hunt advantage, working with an ally to do that and to win that challenge. I won the ball challenge when I needed it, and I won the final puzzle when I needed it. And I scrapped and I fought. And every time in this game that I heard that somebody else was throwing my name out, immediately, right, I responded to that, right, and helped to get that person out of the game at that point, you know, because I had to, right, because that's what I needed to do to survive to get to this point. And so I hope that you'll see my game. I hope you'll respect my game. Yeah, and I hope you vote for me to win.
Thank you, Megan. Jordan?
I think that you all are incredible Survivor players. You know the game. You've played before. So I feel like all day I have been, like, for lack of a more politically correct reference, I have felt like a sharpshooter all day. It is not in my nature to be patient. It is not in my nature to keep my mouth shut and to be calm. Specifically today, I've felt like I've been looking through the little scope of a rifle, and I've been pacing my breath, and I've just been waiting for each one of you incredible players to step right in my scope, and I can pick you off at the right moment. I think we together have had a hand in almost all of these votes. You've heard people incredibly upset with me, and I think that this whole time, knowing that people have seen me as a threat, have wanted to come back in the game and target specifically me, this entire time, my name's been written down at Tribal one time, and it was just by Hannah. Other than that, not one vote has been cast for me. I know I'm not good at puzzles. I know I'm not gonna beat Adam or Rosie in a physical challenge. I have to rely on my strategic and social game. That's the only thing I can do. And I've been very intentional about that up until this exact moment.
All right, thank you, Jordan. Now, Rosie.
I know some people don't appreciate the style of game that I played, but let me reverse to last year. I was very observant last year. I was learning on the go, and this year I definitely wanted to be more aggressive, but I learned to be patient. And I made some good alliances early on, as you know. Poor Adam was taking the arrows left and right that I was just kind of, turned sideways dodging, all right? I mean, that was obvious. The social game is where I capitalized, and I feel like I did have my hand in a lot of different camps, especially definitely at the merge. I worked my way around to get the information that I needed, so I knew where I was going to be on the vote and who was going to be part of the vote. And that's something I really took pride in this year was, and I'm going to give Boogie a shout out, it was something that Boogie did last year a lot. He was always in the know, and I was like, I want to be that kind of player. I want to be in the know.
All right, 3 great opening statements. Now it's time to move on to the jury, and they will get to ask their questions or say their piece, whichever they prefer. And we will get started with Stacy.
Yes. And in the sake of time, I'm going to collectively, for the group, congratulate all 3 of you for being where you are. And to let all of you know that our minds are not made up. We are all open and anxious to hear what you have to say. Now, at the last tribal, a lot of things about perception were discussed. So what we're going to do is something along that line about your perception of where you are and where you think the votes lie. So this is what we're going to do. You're going to close your eyes, and I am going to name each jury player, and I want you to raise your hand if you think you have their vote. So everyone close your eyes, and we're going to start with Dallas. Mia. Devontae. Megan. Adam. Griffin. Stacy. Boogie. Hannah. And I believe that's everybody, correct? All right, thank you, everybody.
I'm so dizzy.
Next, Hannah.
Hey. I love seeing, I just want to just say it's for this season of All-Stars, I was bringing Beauty and Brawn. It's so cool to see bringing Beauty and Brawn at Final Tribal. I think it represents our season really well. Yeah, great job, guys. For Megan, after your opening speech, you said that there were people that were gunning for you that you got out. when you heard they were gunning for you. I would love to hear who those people are.
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest thing I think for me in this game was so in the original Brains tribe, I had worked with James and Elisa, and that we on the very first vote, right? They had told me what they were going to do, and they did a different thing. And then afterwards, they had told me that they thought that I was the biggest threat in the game. They were worried about me being a threat in this game, and that worries me, right? Because anybody that was putting my name out there and saying you're a big threat, and I don't understand why you're not a big threat. Like Boogie, you said that to me. You were like, I keep trying to tell them you're a big threat in this game, and you were like, why won't they listen to me? And I remember my response to you. I just turned around and went, because I was like, yeah, I mean that's true, right? And people kept saying that to me all throughout the game, like, why do people not notice, right? I don't understand. Devonta, you said it to me at one point. You're like, I don't understand why people don't. And I'm like, yeah, I don't either, but it's great for me, and I like that. And so James and Elisa were two people that had approached me in the very beginning of the game and said, you're a really big threat.
But you didn't get them out.
Oh,
we got them out. So
right,
who did you get out?
You did. And so what I'm going to tell you is, so in the challenge where I got paired up with Mia and we had to swap information, the information I passed to Mia was James and Elisa are the biggest threat over there, and they're the ones that need to go. And when double vote happened, that very next vote, who got out? James and Elisa, right? Thanks to Mia, right? And that communication that we had. And so to me, that was a big move for me in the game, was like recognizing that I needed to protect myself, not just on the tribe that I was on at the time, because that was after I mutinied, but the tribe that I had come from, because I knew who my threats were over there.
Thank you, Hannah. Next up is going to be Boogie.
First off, and I want to speak for everybody in the jury. We're so jealous. We're so jealous. Yeah, right? I know we didn't discuss that, but I knew we all felt it. But seriously, I do want to ask for Rosie.
What's up?
Who's your boy?
You my boy.
Yes, sir! Yes, sir!
I love that guy.
All right, Dallas, you're up. I love it.
Well, guys, I know Stacey said it for all of us, but I just want to say congratulations to each of us had really close relationships in the game at some points or another, some rockier than others. But when I came into the game, like I struggled the last two times that I played with really owning what I did, and I wanted to come in this time wanting to own it. And so if I was there, I'd be fighting tooth and nail like you all are right now. So what I want to hear from you, I want each of you to tell me why you specifically deserve to win, and also specifically not your competitor sitting next to you.
I think I should win based off how I put myself in the right spot at the right time. I didn't want to be seen as a huge threat early on, but when the time came, my voice was in the right spot and I made things happen. I feel like Megan and Jordan had each other the whole game regardless. I had to feel my way around the entire time, all right? I don't have a crutch at all. I played with Adam, but I just met Adam for the real first time when we stood on Braun, you know? I think that is my reason why I should be able to trump them, because I did not have a safety net. I didn't really have somebody to go back and fully trust most of the game.
So I think that I should win the game because I didn't have idols to save me and I didn't have immunity to save me. So I really had to heavily rely on being able to feel everyone out. I haven't had anything to save me. I'm not good at challenges. I knew that going into this. So I had to be on my game all the time. Every single vote, every single moment of downtime, I'm scoping around, trying to figure out who's together, who am I shifting to. And I honestly feel like almost every single tribal, I brought him in and we were the swing vote. Those are because of the relationships that I made throughout the entire game. They wouldn't have happened without him, but they were relationships that I made and the avenue of information coming to me.
I think Megan played a hell of a game. She had like 4 immunities, 2 idols. I'm not discrediting that. But every time you have an immunity necklace around your neck, that's like multiple hours of sitting back and chilling and talking to people. Like, this whole weekend, I've had 1 hour of being immune with that necklace on. The rest of the time, I've been navigating the waters. That's a huge difference between us. It's been a really long road.
Another good answer.
I think this is funny. It's kind of like what Stacey, you were saying about perspective, right? Because I think it's the flip side of the same coin, right? I'm gonna stand up. I splatter. I'm gonna stand up. I think it's just a flip side of the same coin, right? Like this argument that Jordan was making, about the game. I think I'm on the flip side of that coin. Like when I look at all of our games, I think we actually played a very similar social game in terms of adaptation and moving. But on top of that, I did find 2 idols without clues, right? And that is hard work, right? And that doesn't necessarily make your game easier or automatically it's an easier game to play and win. Like that's something that you have to work at, right? And you also have to figure out how to strategically use those. So I think it's not only that I played the social game, but it's also that I found advantages. It's also that I used the advantages strategically. And it's also that I won 3 immunity challenges, which again is not an easy thing to do because I'm not a particularly athletic person. And I pushed through and won those challenges. That is what makes my game different, is that again, I think we played a very similar social game, but on top of that social game, I had all these other elements in my game.
All right. Thank you, Dallas. Now, Mia, you're up.
Well, I was supposed to go 5th, and you know how when I get put on the spot, it makes me nervous. So I just standing there with me. This is hard for me, right? Because I'm like, and holy shit, you put out like this whole spread of like, oh my gosh, right? And then you put out this whole spread, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And then you put out this whole spread, and I'm like, I really appreciate you, and you're awesome. And you put out this like spread of like good fucking points. Sorry, I get excited. So, I don't really know what my question is.
I feel like multiple times, multiple votes, different variations of people, they were gunning for you. And I feel like I busted my ass for the longest time trying to keep you in the game, knowing that around camp, we could not talk to each other and associate with each other because everyone would pick up on it. So when we would do like our little like drive-bys of like, we're still good, yeah, we're still good. And we really had to rely on that trust. Until the very end, I had no idea that you were getting voted out. That was a blindside to me as well. And I just want you to know that I had no idea that was happening, and that I feel like I worked actively very hard to save you for multiple votes before that.
Thank you.
Mia, I want to say, I'm just going to pick off where she left off.
Mm-hmm.
It is difficult to get you out of a game. You are great. No, you are phenomenal. And just from last season, you had the same. You were so evasive, and it's impressive. I saw my opportunity, and I had to take it.
No, I get that. So,
and
did you write my name down?
I wrote your name down.
Thank you for owning
1,000%.
that.
Oh, 1,000%. I am going to tell you, and that's because I respect you.
I appreciate that.
And I
would have
knew
been a little earlier, but that's good.
That's fine. Yeah. I mean, I had to do things like I said a certain way so I could be
okay,
sitting
Pat.
on this stuff.
Thank you.
And I knew I couldn't get to Jordan if you were there.
Yeah.
I
But I told
had
Megan.
Rosie,
what's up, man?
do you remember what I told you if you would ever write my name down in the game?
No, don't do whatever.
Oh, I want to know if he remembers.
Well, whatever you're gonna do, don't do it, because I'm gonna be mad at you.
That's where I feel
You do
sorry.
it, you're never coming back.
Answer what I told you.
He'll spoil Stranger Things.
All right, to save everyone who hasn't caught up with it, I will just let you know you're up a creek in a fucking spaghetti strainer. Okay? I'm serious. You better say something in the next couple minutes that convinces everyone to vote for you.
All right.
It's between them two, I'm pretty sure. If I'm reading it right,
Can I ask you something?
I will. As a former winner, and someone deemed by you guys as the #1 threat that nobody could beat at the end, no matter what they did in the game, explain to me and the jury how you would beat me at the end sitting next to me, and you cannot tell me that you couldn't. Go ahead.
That's a phenomenal question. I think social game. I think you think that you are doing more than you are socially. If you, throughout this whole thing, it was Megan, you, and I. Other than that, you had struggle working with literally everybody else that I engage with. It was always me saying, no, let's not do Adam yet. No, let's do it this way. It was a lot of deflecting from you because you weren't even handling your own social game. You were phenomenal challenges. You were phenomenal at crawling through these woods like a mother bear. And you do that phenomenally. Your social game is not there, and you think it is, but it is not. So even if we want to argue who did Mia, who did, at the end of the day, I pulled the Mia vote, whether we talked about it before, where we definitely both wanted Mia. But at the end of the day, you weren't the one in each group talking, being a face to other people. You were pulling idols. You were winning challenges, which is phenomenal. But when I sit next to you, I say, you didn't win these people over with any type of social game at all. So you can beat me in the brawn challenge. You win the brawn challenge. I win the beauty. And
hello, everyone. I was voted out early, so I know what it's like to be backstabbed and blindsided and betrayed. You know, I hold no grudges against any of you for voting me out. I honestly think it was the smart move. I'm also a Redemption Island player, so I know what it's like to start at the bottom and crawl your way up round by round, tooth and nail, as hard as you can. I, myself, play to win, and I know you all play to win because you're sitting here in front of me. But I want you guys to tell me about the time you were the most ruthless. The time you voted your friends out despite them being your friends because you thought it would give you a better chance of making the final three. So I need you to give me the time you played to win and only no emotions, just to win.
I think the most ruthless thing I did in this game, honestly, was voting for Dallas. And I know that we talked about it, and I know that we made our peace about it before it happened. But that's the thing I feel worst about in this entire game. Because Dallas and I worked very closely together in this game, and it came to a point where, because they had to split the vote between us because they didn't like that we were that close, right? And it benefits their game to not have us be that close. And that is the thing that hurt. Like, that's the thing in this game that hurt, I think, the most.
I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
There are a few things. I hope I'm answering this correctly. I'm sorry, I have like intense brain fog. I think you guys understand. But I will say when we did the second double vote, I knew that it was going to be a tie between Hannah and Rosie. So I intentionally wrote Stacy's name down to make it a three-way tie. And when Mia leaned over and was like, vote Rosie, we have to go Rosie. At that point, I still wanted to do Final Four with these two. So I told Mia, I'm not, like, you're either writing Stacy or we're going to Rocks. Like, I'm not switching my vote. And I would have put myself in that situation, one, because I want to win and I needed my allies at the time there. But also because, like, I wanted this to be fun. And if I went out from, like, a rock draw, then that's how it is. I felt like at that point that was maybe not ruthless, but bold.
I think that getting Mia out of the way so I can do a Jordan, whether it was spoken about before or not, before it happened, I had my hand in it and I executed that so I could get my numbers. So when Adam eventually didn't have an idol or something to, do, I would have something to fall back on and still have numbers going forward.
Okay, thanks.
All right, thank you, Griffin. Megan, you're up.
Hi guys, good job getting here. There's the brains, there's the beauty, and there's the bronze. Why do you represent that fraction?
I think that I represent brain because again, I think I'm good at puzzles. I'm good at puzzle challenges. I did well at the word scramble. I do well. And I did well at the shapes puzzle. Like I knocked that out. I'm generally very good at those kinds of things. And again, I also think that I'm a strategic player. I do think I'm a strategic player. I just know kind of how to manage the situation moment by moment and day by day and adapt and adapt and adapt. And I'm not a social player in the way that a lot of you are social players, but in a way that I really admire, where everyone else is very like chatty and extroverted and around the fire. And it's this really great thing to watch, but I am not that way. I am strategic. I am quiet. I am paying attention, and I am sort of just quietly watching what's going on and observing dynamics. And I think that level of strategy is part of what makes me a brain.
I think that I represent beauty because I think that I can be charming when I need to. And I think that sometimes I can talk my way into your heart. That's what I'll say.
I really think I play more like a beauty than a brawn. I really do. I want to say that I'm brawn, but I played a more social, charming, I'd like to think charming, probably not, game that was more social. So I think I might have been labeled incorrectly. I definitely butt heads like a brawn, but I think I played the social game like a beauty. So.
All right, thank you, Megan. Devontae, you're up.
Hello, 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 you wonderful three people. I want to start by saying I just find it very interesting when Stacey opened this all up and she asked, the question individually, like who each of you thought you had your votes. When it came to me, both of you raised your hand for me. And I found that very interesting because in my head right now, even after all the people have gone, I'm still on a teeter-totter between the both of you. And it's very hard for me right now to wrap my head around it because when I look at both of you, I have someone who completely lied to me, who I trusted them a very lot in this game, thought was number one, was told to me personally that you wanted me to be your number one because I watched your game last year. Conversation that was said. And on the other hand, I have someone who was completely honest with me, told me straight up to my face that there is no future she sees working for me going forward and that she's most likely was voting me out at the merge vote, which I respected. So in my head, I have someone I trusted lied, someone who was honest, and both I value the same level because I like to be a villain in this game. I like to cut people's heads off, be a snake, get to the end with my charm, but I also like to respect and be loyal to the people that I am working with. So right now I'm pretty even between the two of you. So I kind of want to relate it back to me and my experience during this game because this is All-Stars. This was something that was very important for each of us who signed up and agreed to play this game. And for me playing this game of All-Stars this year, it was the hardest game I have ever played personally. There were times where I felt very, very low in this game and times where I didn't know how I would move forward. So my question for each of you that I really need you to sell me on is tell me the point in this game where you felt the most vulnerable and how you used that to your advantage to overcome and end up here a spot in the final three. Jordan, I want to start with you.
So I think I felt most vulnerable. Really That's when I felt most vulnerable.
The conversation I'm saying that you pulled me to the side in the woods after a couple of our post votes. You said, Devontae, you watched my game last year. You know how
yes.
one person that I'm very loyal to.
And when we were
you said,
on the
I want
same
you to be
tribe,
that person for me. And I said, yes, I would love to.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by that. And I believe that. I was true with that. In my head, I was like, okay, Jordan, wow, we really have each other. Yes. I was like, we're both gay. We really have this. We can do this. I was like, I would blindside Boogie for you. So I believe that is what I'm saying.
I
had to play a new game.
So
taking that away from him.
So my question back, okay? Here,
right. No, I want. That's what I want. Yes.
So I found an idol. I told you. Okay. Right. You mutinied, and as you were pulling your advantage out, you said, "I'm sorry. This isn't good for my game. I know you have an idol, so at the merge, you better work with me." That's a threat. Okay. That was strike number one. You threatened and said you better work with me. Luckily, I had already played my idol before the merge, so you didn't have that blackmail on me. Second, you came over and said that you saved yourself on the double vote because someone that had been voted off at redemption gave you an advantage that said, this is a leave jury free. That's how you escaped it. That was a lie.
All that is very valid, and that's things that happened in the game. I want to go back to my question where I'm not, Jordan, but what I said was a real conversation that happened that I believe. So from my perspective, I'm not lying with that. And I'm not trying to dog your game. I really want to know because that was a conversation that happened that I believe. So like that's where I'm coming from.
These things, these decisions that you made affected who is my number one going forward. When you came back and you lied about how you were saved because you got 6 bullets, of course I'm not going to trust you. And there was nothing that I could have done to save you from these people.
That's fine, yeah.
From the moment you came over, they wanted you. There was nothing.
I know, Jordan, I know. I'm not trying to dog your name. That was my point, is that I really thought we had trust. I thought we were going to be Roy Force strong. I told them, they both know the entire time, can't wait to get back with Jordan. Like, we had that. So, Jordan, I'm not, like, trying to dog you, say you're this big liar, but I'm saying I did feel blindsided by you when you wrote my name on the vote I went out. I just did not think it was happening. That's a fact. That's all I was saying. Where on the other hand, Megan was very truthful and let me know that she voted me out. And I'm a villain. I respect that. I'm not mad at you for getting me out. I know I'm a player. Congrats. Yes, that was a move, Jordan. Yes, I'm not mad at you. I love that for you. I want you to know I'm not targeting you. I'm just using that as an example because I'm really torn between you two. So my question is relating back to how this was my worst game, how I felt vulnerable. I just want to know where you was most vulnerable and how you used that to win. That is a deciding factor. Take me out of it.
Vulnerable when you mutinied, I was most vulnerable. I was 1 blue on the tribe, most vulnerable. I used that to my advantage because I could have mutinied back with Wolf's advantage, and I chose not to because I knew people. If I would have went back to you guys, we could have, worked together, had a majority, but I thought if I can make my way through this, then at the merge, I will have the numbers. I will have people on both sides.
Yeah, thank you. That's what I wanted. That's the question I asked. Megan, same to you. When you felt most vulnerable and how you used that to get yourself to this final 3.
Great. I honestly felt most vulnerable at 2 different points, so I'm just going to talk about them really briefly.
Yes.
Okay, great. So the first time in the game I felt the most vulnerable was when I used the mutiny advantage and I mutinied over because I felt vulnerable on the Brains tribe because I did not feel good about how things were going with James and Elisa. I did not feel like I could trust them, and I felt very concerned, right, that we were going to get picked off one by one. And so I did mutiny over into a tribe where I was at a disadvantage, and I knowingly did that, and I knowingly knew I was on the wrong side of the numbers, right, and I was down 3-4, right, with Jordan and Dallas against the 4 original Brawn, or with the 4 original Brawn, and that was a very vulnerable position. I purposely put myself in that vulnerable position because I believed that working with them, we could get out of that position if we used our advantages and worked together and used teamwork and got through it. And that was a very vulnerable point, and because I purposely put myself in that situation because I believed it was better for my long game. But that was a risky move that I made. The other most vulnerable point was towards the end of the game when we had to get to know our tribe. And we did that challenge, and I got voted as who's playing the best game right now. And that made me feel extremely vulnerable because at that point, from that point on, I mean, even a little before that, but it just became like, I'm the target, right? And so whenever Adam was immune, it shifted onto me, and I felt extremely vulnerable. And so I needed to win. I know I needed to win that last challenge. I know I needed to win that puzzle because I know that if I didn't win that puzzle, I would not be sitting here, right?
Awesome. Thank you both so much. That's what I wanted. Good luck to all 3 of you.
All right. A very lively final tribal council. Thank you, jury, for all the questions you have. Right now, we will do closing statements. Again, this is your last opportunity to say your piece, to say what you want this group of people to know before they go and vote for one of you to win this game. So you have to be confident, you have to be strong, and you have to reach out and grab it, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and do final speeches, and we're gonna start with Jordan.
I think to summarize my overall game, I am here, and up until the very final vote of Hannah, I did not have 1 vote cast against me. That's what I have to say. I told each one of you guys who I initiated votes on and pulled numbers for, and I was able to do that and take you out before you even had the opportunity to cast a vote on me. That's what I'm most proud of in this game.
Thank you, Jordan. We'll go on to Rosie.
Thank you guys for the questions. They were good and straight to the point. But I believe that once again, my social game, being connected with each individual, different blue, yellow, didn't matter. I had my say where I wanted it. I had my timing when I needed it. I think that right there is what put me where I am, and I'll keep that short and sweet for you all.
All right, thank you, Rosie, and Sparky, close us out.
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. So after I played last year, I went and met Rupert. I went to Rupert's fun run, and I met Rupert, and I told him what happened. And I told him, I said, I went out at 4, I didn't think I could do it. I didn't believe in myself. And I got a big bear hug from Rupert, and he said, Sparky, you have to win! Because I said, Rupert, I might go play All-Stars. There's a chance. I don't know if I'm getting invited back, but I might play All-Stars. And he said, Sparky, you gotta play Survivor to win! This is true. And I promised Rupert that I would come back, and I would make it to the end, and I would fucking win. Because he told me that when he played a local version of Survivor at the Indiana State Fair, that he made the mistake, right? He made this mistake of not playing the best, not playing the best game, not thinking he could do it, right, and not winning. And he told me to come in and win. So that is what I'm here to do. I hope that I've convinced you that I've played the best all-around game. I feel like, again, I was a donation contestant. I found advantages. I used those advantages strategically. I built social relationships. I won immunities when I needed to. I did everything I could. I did everything I possibly could to play the hardest game, to really come back this time and play and know that I was enough, to feel that I was enough, to feel that I was deserving of being a winner. And so I hope that you make me the winner. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Sparky, and thank you, Final 3. This was a great final tribal, and now we have to get to the final vote. All right, I'm gonna play music, and we're gonna start with Hannah, and we will go down the line. And jury, I just want to give you a quick reminder: you are voting for someone to win this game. So you're voting for the person that you believe deserves this the most. All right. Should I move this in close? Move this in a little bit closer. All right. So we do have a winner inside of this urn, but before we get to that, I do want to just take a minute and thank everyone here. This is far and away the best season we've ever had. It is not even a question about it. From minute 1, from vote 1, you all delivered in a way I never even expected. So I have to thank each and every one of you so much. Finalists, jury, and pre-merge, every single one of you gave me more than I ever could have asked for. So thank you so much. And then I also want to give a big thank you to Seth and Adam, Seth and James, who have been completely invaluable in this experience. We hopefully will be able to tell this story appropriately, the way it deserves to be told. And if we do end up being able to do that, it is completely because of them. So I just thank them immensely. And then third, I want to thank our property owners for hosting. Do this without them. The hospitality is completely unbelievable. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Casey.
agreed on.
All right, as I said, there is a winner inside of this urn right now. We will officially have our Surviving Bloomington All-Stars winner. For the last time, I will read the votes. First vote, Megan.
Played a phenomenal game. The way you were able to take your game from last year and just evolve it to almost absolute perfection was chef's kiss to watch.
Second vote, Jordan.
This is a really hard vote, and I'm not even sure I'm making the right decision, but I really respect your gameplay, girl.
Third vote, Rosie.
The other two were safe for the majority of the game. So you had the uphill battle, you didn't have your best friend, and you made it to the end. For me, you're the winner.
Rosie.
You my boy. Love you, brother. Best of luck. All right.
Jordan.
You are one badass player. Your like strategy and like maneuvering and just the way you like see the game and like I think everybody is an all-star, but you are definitely an all-star, and congratulations.
Sparky.
I'm so immensely proud of you. And for people like us, you are such an inspiration. The way that you handled yourself in the game and that final tribal. You fought and you deserve it.
That's 2 votes Rosie, 2 votes Jordan, 2 votes Sparky. Jordan.
And Jordan played to win. She was ruthless with all of her votes, and she was running things, I think, most of the whole time. Huge respect on that. I think she deserved to win.
I think if I make it to the merge, I'll consider that a success.
I'm better now. My team is looking for the item that I just found.
I think I would want to tell Sparky on Brains, because I went into this game knowing that we were going to be the biggest allies in this game together.
You voted me out. A game respect game. Hope you win.
I actually don't believe that they would all vote for me.
I think that this could be our moment of being all together to take control. Yep.
This person owned their game this final tribal, and if this was my second time playing, this is exactly how I would play.
Winner of Surviving Bloomington All-Stars, Jordan.
Amazing game. Hey, can we say, did we redeem ourselves?
Yes, absolutely. That was such a beautiful tribal. Oh my goodness, you girls. I did not know my